Box office watch once again for Superman, and honestly, it's interesting just how much sweeping the Access Media is doing for this otherwise bad movie. Okay, just look at that. Okay, James Gunn's Superman earned $12.9 million domestically in its first Monday, the third biggest Monday box office of 2025 so far, which. Okay, that's a weird, milestone to really carve out, and honestly, okay, third biggest Monday box office, the other two, Lilo and Stitch, and Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. Lilo and Stitch was something like 35 or 36 odd million. Mission Impossible, I think, was 15, but those also came out Memorial Day long weekend, so that was a holiday Monday. So yes, as it sits right now, Superman has the best non-holiday. You could also have that. I'm sure that's probably a headline that has been trotted out by the dick suckers for this film out there as well, which, I mean, if that's all you have to praise the film, it doesn't really look like you have a lot of substance behind it. And honestly, like, for the numbers that are available right now, it's honestly, even without inflation, really falling behind Man of Steel, which doesn't bode well for the film in general. And honestly, like, its legs, like I said before earlier this week when we were talking about this, like, this second weekend, it's gonna have a lot to say. Okay, because internationally, it's not doing that great. Well, we haven't really got an update on it. It's still, at this point in time, sitting at $95 million. So, I don't really know, man. We haven't got an update on that since, Sunday night. So, perhaps we'll see something over the weekend. Maybe word of mouth about, yeah, it's just fun. It's great. It's good. It's fine. Okay. And every other opinion in the mix, because, if you're critical about the wafer-thin characters, the fact that Superman spends the vast majority of the film getting the piss beat out of him, the plot just being a series of and then contrivances, and the tone somehow being all over the place, even though it's being praised for being lighter than Man of Steel. This isn't, sucking up to Man of Steel. That's also a horrific movie. But long story short, it looks like it's going to be a more profitable, horrific movie. By how much? Well, that'll be interesting to see, and we'll have a better picture by the weekend because, yeah, after the first Monday, I mean, men lie, women lie. James Gunn has made a career off of lying, but numbers don't. And looking at the domestic box office after the first Monday, last time I checked, the 141 million is a little bit bigger than the 130, well, we'll just round it up for fun, $38 million. And I don't really think that it's liable to continue that trend, that it's liable to play catch up, because, yeah, it had a better by $400,000 first Monday, but it got skunked on its first Sunday. It barely eked out a victory on its first Saturday, and yeah, thanks to the way that they factored in previews, had a better Friday. So, like I said before, and like many other people are looking forward to that first weekend drop-off, what are we going to be looking at here? Because Man of Steel had a 65% drop-off. And from what I can recall, that film had horrific word of mouth because everybody was shocked about just how much murder Superman committed and just the overall dour tone. But yeah, just looking at the competition at the time, I mean, yeah, Monsters University, I think that would go on to make, yeah, over 700 million. World War Z was pretty big as well. That's the one thing that, James Gunn's Superman has going for it. No competition this weekend. And as such, it has a possibility to play well this week, but the direct competition with Fantastic Four coming out the week after, I mean, it's not like I'm cheering for the Fantastic Four to succeed. That looks like absolute cancer. We just need to face facts that, good movies, so far in 2025, good entertainment has been few and far between, but very few pieces of media that have come out this year have been so scrutinized. Right? Like the box office watching has been fervent, and why James Gunn has been casting who James Gunn has been casting. Well, we're starting to get some more insight into that. And James Gunn rebooted DC with cheaper talent. Okay, so a recent report has revealed the salaries for the leading actors and what they were paid for the Superman movie. Via Puck News, it was revealed that Corenswet and Brosnahan, so Clark and Lois, were paid $750,000 each, despite Corenswet being the lead. But let's keep it a buck, okay? Because prior to this casting, like Corenswet was in Twisters, and okay, but outside of that, I know that he's the lead in your movie, but the resume doesn't really speak to a big payday. Like, it's one of those things where, yeah, okay, if the first one does good, then, you know, we have scaling pay as it goes from there. And I would imagine, you know, big bonuses and big incentives on top of that. So, okay, that doesn't really seem too far out of the fold. And yeah, again, Rachel Brosnahan, again, not exactly a household name, but if she catches on, and from what I hear, you know, she's pretty good in the film. Like, all of the performances, sans one, has been good to great. So yeah, that $750,000 is going to look laughable in the long term if they do in fact get that far. And Nicholas Hoult, who is probably, well, at least of the main cast, the most established out of there. And yeah, you got $2 million to play Lex Luthor, but you compare and contrast that to what the previous iteration of Superman and that cast of characters would have commanded. Do you think Amy Adams and Henry Cavill would have settled for $750,000? Do you think that Jesse Eisenberg, which still, you know, he was Lex Luthor at the end of the day, that is still, you know, one for the history books. Would he have been the highest paid actor on that set? Yeah, I don't really think so. But yes, of course, you factor all of this stuff in, and it's like, okay, $750,000 for Superman, $750,000 for Lois, $2 million for Lex Luthor, and then even with the overstuffed number of characters that are in this film, where did the rest of the budget go? $363 million spent, $225 million after taxes and incentives, whatever we're running with at this point in time. You still need about $600 million to break even with the $100 to $200 million advertising budget. I mean, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle. And like I said, the picture will become a lot more clear after this second weekend. But with all of the conversation, all of the minutia, all of the meta conversations that are being had right now to this very day, which it's interesting to see a movie that has come out in recent years just continue to have this amount of divisive conversation around it. It's one part refreshing and another part just really, really annoying, because I wish we were having these conversations about better movies, but c'est la vie. Can't deal with the world the way that you want it to be. You have to deal with it the way that it is. It's just one thing that I think we can all universally agree with, and something that I've heard time and time again, is that Corenswet is a really good dude and he's a really good Superman. Okay, but yeah, David Corenswet says that he reached out to Clayface Star, which is probably going to be the third movie in the DCU, which is absolutely hilarious because it's already been announced that it's going to be an Elseworld story. So yeah, your third film is not going to have anything to do with your mainline continuity. God damn it, James. Oh my God, I was trying to give you the benefit of the doubt a couple of videos ago by saying at least there's one central voice, at least there is a unifying force at the top of DC for the first time in a long time. And what's the third thing that you do? Third or fourth thing, because I'm not entirely sure how, the movies are going to work out, but it's going to be an Elseworld story. Fantastic stuff. And you still have to deal with Matt Reeves' Batman 2, hey? Anyways, but yes, reached out to Clayface Star, Tom Rhys-Harris, and a Lantern Star, which, yeah, Lanterns, it's going to have, 3 different Green Lanterns? Because he's playing Jon Stewart. Nathan Fillion is coming back as Guy Gardner, and Hal Jordan, he's been cast by a famous guy, I can't quite remember who, but yes. But Corenswet reaching out and trying to take on that whole leadership role for the DCU, I mean, what a good dude. Like, every time I see this guy in front of the camera, I'm wondering why he isn't out there just being the face of the DCU instead of just letting stupid James Gunn ruin everything. Because, yeah, just simply compare this, like gifting Jason Momoa a Lobo comic, even though, Jason Momoa, big Lobo fan. So, yeah, you can't really say, oh, hey, congratulations on your role. It's a shame about that Aquaman thing, but hopefully you knock it out the park with Lobo, not Logo. I'm sure Lobo is going to have a logo in the Superman or the Supergirl movie, but I digress. Little stories like this, it's little things like this that does give me hope that DC can finally pull off a cohesive universe and we can have the equivalent of an Avengers Endgame for the Justice League. But whenever the actual face of DC rears his ugly, stupid, nonsensical head, I die a little inside, because James Gunn defending, yes, the controversial Jor-El twist in Superman, which, that's another thing that has really been dominating the conversation. As it's been highlighted here, the goofiest part about the whole movie is when Jor-El and Lara-El told Superman to go to Earth, and, this is the second part of the, we haven't ever been able to decrypt the other half of this Kryptonian message, and that wasn't possible until Lex Luthor and the Engineer break into the Fortress of Solitude, steal the message, and decrypt it, and then they tell everybody, no, trust us, bro, this is 1000% true. Clark has only been listening to his space parents say that we love you so much, okay, just go to Earth, be great, be kind, help out wherever you can. And then the second half of the message is, yeah, go to Earth and fuck them space thoughts like it's going out of style. Start a harem and impregnate as many women as possible. And James Gunn, yes, expected us to take this as a serious plot point. Yeah, because the rest of the movie kind of hinges on that. That's the message that gets a Superman canceled. So fucking cringe and so stupid. And yeah, for a lot of, comic purists and even just people with good taste, it's like that's a big no-go zone. But okay, adaptation arguments never really hold water with me. So if James Gunn has like a better idea, okay, if he actually wants to build on top of that, maybe it's, because there's a lot of cope around this that actually it's gonna get reversed in another movie. But as it's presented right now in earnest, yeah, that is 1000% a factual message that Jor-El left for his son to dominate all will on life and spread his seed. Like that, it's a way that you could go, not one that I would recommend. And if you think that this bad decision will somehow get retroactively fixed in subsequent iterations, I mean, I wish you the best, because this is also going to have implications, okay? Because if this is the modus operandi from Kryptonians, how is this going to affect Supergirl? Is her entire approach to, landing on Earth and being a intergalactic thought? Was she told to go out there and pump out as many half-Kryptonian kids as possible? Or is this just never going to get mentioned again? It's going to be like all of the world-breaking devices that Lex has just cooked up in his basement. How he can just create pocket universes. How he has cracked cloning, not just on regular people, but on on Kryptonians. I'm sure all of that will get further explained in additional films, right? But yeah, James Gunn defends the controversial Jor-El twist in Superman. It happened before in the comics. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. So Bradley Cooper steps into Marlon Brando's shadow as Jor-El, of course. In the film's opening scenes, audiences are introduced to Jor-El through a holographic message voiced and performed by Bradley Cooper in a brief but pivotal cameo. The role immortalized by Marlon Brando and handled admirably by Russell Crowe in Man of Steel, which, yeah, he actually got a bigger, role to play in Man of Steel, and, well, it's Russell Crowe, and he's pretty much good in everything that he does, even if he's in a shitty movie. Unless, of course, we're talking Thor: Love and Thunder, which, unless we're talking about the merits of Taika Waititi, I think everybody would benefit from just wiping that movie from their memory. But anyways, the 78 film starring Christopher Reeve carries immense legacy weight. Gunn, speaking to Entertainment Tonight, explained his casting choice with clear admiration for both Brando's performance and Cooper's abilities. Well, I don't believe you. I don't believe you, James. I needed somebody who could play Jor-El, somebody who had the stature of what we would imagine that character to be, somebody who would walk in the footsteps of Marlon Brando. Yeah, Gunn's history with Cooper, he obviously voiced and will continue to voice Rocket Raccoon, depending on, what the multiverse has in store, which at this point in time, I don't know. Okay, so yeah, he's a friend Gunn shared, because we know you're very nepotistic when it comes to your hiring practices. We stayed in close contact since the Guardians movies, and I admire him greatly as an actor and as a director. So come on down to England, shoot you in a 3D environment, make a hologram of you. You can play Jor-El. Oh, God, yeah. Come on down, I got a job for you. Yeah, you're just going to play the father of Superman. Oh, that's awesome. What are you going to do? Tell him to go fuck Earth bitches. What the fuck? Far more divisive than the casting is Gunn's decision. Yeah, because to be completely honest, right, like this is a still from the movie, and it's like, he looks fine in the role, especially as the father of, David Corenswet. I could believe it. It's fine. It's probably a little bit closer of an age gap than what you would normally expect, because I'm not entirely sure what the difference between Russell Crowe and Henry Cavill was. But, Marlon Brando and Christopher Reeve, that was a believable, but it was probably the most severe age gap between those two actors. But this one right here, like, what? 10 years, maybe? But anyways, yeah, the far more divisive than the casting is Gunn's decision to reimagine the reasons behind Jor-El and Lara sending their infant son Kal-El who becomes, yes, Clark Kent. Oh wow, I didn't know that, on Earth. Traditional Superman lore dating back to the 38 comics by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Krypton's destruction prompts Jor-El to launch Kal-El's rocket as a desperate act of salvation, entrusting him to grow up as a beacon of good under Earth's yellow sun and inspire the people of Earth as a hero, which is, big reason why Superman's probably my favorite superhero, because he's like, if you're in a creator character and you have all the sliders available to you, and you just decide to just crank them all the way to the max, you would end up with Superman. But instead of using your powers for selfishness or any sort of domination, you just decide to be a beacon of hope and honesty, truth, justice, and the American way. But no. We need to have our James Gunn take on this. The original Superman Brando, yes, Jor-El, read the now iconic line, "There can be great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way. For this reason, above all, their capacity for good, I've sent them you, my only son." Inspiring stuff, right? Well, apparently not inspiring enough to nihilistic atheist douchebags in Hollywood. Gunn's film upends this by revealing a second half to the holographic message. Jor-El and Lara instruct Kal-El to conquer Earth, rule its primitive inhabitants without mercy, and take multiple wives and repopulate the Kryptonian race. The altercation has provoked widespread criticism from fans who view it as a fundamental betrayal of Jor-El's character, traditionally depicted as a wise, ethical scientist warning of Krypton's doom. Well, yes, of course, unless we're talking about Man of Steel, who apparently Jor-El has the combative capacities to overwhelm General Zod. But that's all right. Snyder's great because he has a mature take on Superman. But yes, X reaction, social media reactions, conversations happening to this very day. I don't really see too many people outside of just going, "Oh no, that was a tampered with message." If we're just going to take it as earnest, the way that it is being presented and backed up by what Mr. Terrific and several other characters in that movie, as yes, that is 1000% the message that is right there. It is a fundamental fact that Superman has been sent to Earth to fuck all of our bitches, to raw dog every 304, to repopulate Krypton, and they came in here and they didn't just take our gerbs, they also took our girls. Like, nobody's defending that decision. And it's such a bad way to build this overarching world, and especially with a foundational film, the first one in your rebooted franchise. Like, it was a risk, and I don't see it paying off at all whatsoever. But hey, James is going to be getting his kick at the can at DC, because we've seen a couple of different statements come out from WB saying, "Oh no, we're super happy with this. It's just when the box office totals eventually do come in, when we get that second weekend drop off, we'll see how much of a leash James Gunn ultimately has." I'm sure it'll probably be something like what he has for one of his own dogs at home. One that was the inspiration for Crypto, because that asshole can only write anything about himself. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.